back for more. Sorry for the long delay. We'll get into that in a later video. But let's open things back up with some Bach. I was doing some of the B minor stuff in A minor. I'm going to continue that. For some reason, I thought playing Bach, B minor is not really a jazz key. You know, you don't see a lot of the B minor stuff in jazz. So I thought if I played it in A, maybe I'd have an easier time stealing some of the lines, you know, and like Autumn Leaves and stuff. But hasn't really happened, but they're still fun to play. They sound a little better in B minor, I think. But anyway, I learned it in A minor, so it's just down a whole step, and that's what the tab and notation is in. So this is, again, from Sonatas and Partitas. I have tab for it linked, but I'm also trying to figure out how to get tab on the screen as well, so I'm working with that. So there might be some tab up here. I might not have the right software, but we'll see how it goes. And then I'll do some analysis, because that's really the fun stuff. So this is same suite as the old stuff. B minor Presto, Sonata in B minor, I think it is. And this would be the Double Presto, which I'll probably have to play a few times because I never get it right. I also had to add some sort of pauses. It's kind of a hard piece to play smoothly, especially if you're filming yourself. I've never played this live, but it's fun, and you know, all Bach is awesome, so it must be done. It's fun stuff to work on. This can almost make a good picking exercise as well. But anyway, let's try and get this out of the way. All right, burn in performance. That piece is so hard. I can't seem to play it straight. So one problem with that piece is a lot of times I'm using hammers from nowhere, and I didn't even realize it. Where it should all be picked. It should all be picked. Probably if you want to have this maintain a staccato sound. I did a lot of cheating. Runs like I would do a lot of hammer-ons and hammer-ons from nowhere, and it kind of mixed it all up. Until you try to record it and realize it's harder to play than you thought. Anyway, let's go over some of this. So it's in A minor, and it's super simple. That's what's cool. It's like the changes are really straightforward. So we start out. I'm going to go over the tabs that I have, which I'll have a link to, and I might split screen them, which is why I'm trying to get on this side of the screen, but also get the whole guitar. So we start out, it's A minor with an A minor Aeolian, because it's got the F, the flat 6. And we go right to the G sharp, which is a E7. So we're going 1 to 5. And then on the 5, this is interesting. He goes up. He's got a theme going here where he skips the 4. He's doing this a lot. 3, 5, 6, flat 7 root. And we'll get back to that. But this scale, then he goes up to full scale. And he targets the C, which is this third of A minor, flat third. So we're going back to, so it's just A minor, E7, A minor. A minor, E7, A minor. But the scale in E7 he's using, it's G sharp, B, C. So it's like Phrygian dominant, flat 7, D, root, then natural 9, major third, A, 4, 11, 5th, flat 6, flat 7. So you don't see that these days as much. It's a mode of melodic minor. It's like Phrygian dominant, but with a natural 9. And then we're back to A. Measure 4, A minor. And he's playing the scale, notice. But then it repeats that one note each time. So there's themes going on here. Now we'll go to a G7 chord, but starting on the B, on the 3rd. And again, here's that theme again where he goes 3, 5, skips the 4, and then up the scale. E, F, G, that's just the G Mixolydian. That theme. Just like we did on the A, and approached the 3rd of A minor. So this stuff is all usable. You know, if you're playing an A minor and you're playing the A scale, target the 3rd. If you go into E, target the 3rd of E. Then you go into G7, target the 3rd, the B. And then he goes, does the theme. Now we're going to C, G to C. It's all fourths. So we're targeting the E. We're always targeting the 3rd. That's the color note. So we're targeting the E, which is the 3rd of the C chord. Now here he gets away from the 3rd and goes straight to the D. We're on D minor, Aeolian, and he goes right for the D. So if we put bass notes to this, with the A, my intonation's going. I need new strings. I know that. Measure 7, D minor, up the D, relative minor, right? Aeolian scale. Now from here, we're on the 3rd of the D. We started on the root, and we're going to the E7. So here, he was on C, went up to the D7, and that's acting as the 4 chord. So now we go to the 5 chord, E7, and back to the A7, back to the A minor, except now it's A7 because we're going to go to D7. See, it's just like jazz standards. So from the G7, so if I just played the changes, A, E7, A minor, G7 pulls to the C, up to the D minor chord, E7, now to A7, D7, B minor 7 flat 5, D7 to 2-5, back to the A. We haven't got D yet though. But so from the C, there's the D minor. Now we're going to E7. We're jumping down to the G sharp. And that theme of going 3, 5, and then up the scale. So we skip the 4. He does it again. Now this is cool. G sharp, B, C, D, E, and what he's playing here is just this. He's going up to the F, the flat 9, E, D, and that's how we get back to the A. Except he drops an octave. Check this out. He drops the octave. So we start on the G sharp, but instead of going, we go down to the F down here. And that takes us to the C sharp, which is the A7, the third of the A7. So again, that's all he's playing. But with the octave drop, so E7 to A7, like in a jazz, the D7. So E. So on that A7, we get to the C sharp, and then we go right up to the flat 9, root, dominant 7, and that leads us to the third of D7. These are all just like Parker lines. Of course, they're not Parker lines. They're Bach lines, and Parker used them. So E7, a fake out with an octave drop. A7, flat 9, to D. Alright. I know I memorized this, but playing it slow, it's not going to be in my memory the same. Now, we get to the D, it's that structure again. 3, 5, and then up the scale. Now here he does the same thing we did on E, except no flat 9. We're going to the G. So from the F sharp, we're on a D7, A, B, C, D, E, D, C, and that lands us on the B. So it's D. We're always moving fourths. So our stack of fourths is E, A, D, G. I think the G is major. The G might be G7. Yeah, because we're going to C. Then C7, which pulls to F. And then the F becomes 2, so we go up to G7 and back to C. You can see he's either thinking 2 5-1s or 4 5-1s. So where were we? From the E7, drop the F. A7, D7. So on the D7, except instead of going up to the E here, he drops an octave. Now here's the G, here's the B on G7. Now this is crazy. This is a huge octave trick. All he's doing here is, so we get to the G, but we're on the third, and we're headed to an E7. So we go B, C, B, A, G, except he goes octaves, right? So it's, instead of, it goes, so we get this from the D, G, E, and that's that flat 9, G sharp to flat 9 to root to flat 7. It's, it's just bebop lines. So in the actual song, E7, bar 10, melodic minor, A melodic minor, back to A. Kind of implies E. Bar 12, again, approaching the third. So that was an A7 to D, A to D, and of course from D we're going to G, and then from G we're going to C. It's just all fourths. It's just like a bebop song. So bar 12, A. Now D7, we're actually starting on the root this time, but we're going root 5, and then the scale. The Mixolydian, D Mixolydian. And that lands us to G. D to G is the fourth, but he's approaching the third. Notice how much it how colorful that sounds. Now we go down the G major scale, or G7, because we're going to C. So now he's introduced another little theme here where we go root 5 and then the scale. So now from the C, C, G, up the scale. Now we drop the B to B flat because we're going to F and approaching, of course, the third of F. There's the F. So if you played this real slow, it would still sound, you know, really nice. Bar 12. Bar 13, D7. G. G7, C. C7, F. We've got to be going to a B, which is going to be a G7. Bar 17. Same structure. And 2, that approaches the E, so now we're back on C. Except here on C, he does a little different. No, same thing, same structure. 3, 5, up the scale. 3, 5, up the scale. Then he hangs on C for a bit and does an arpeggio. To E7. C to E7 is common. Sometimes, you know, it's in All of Me. It's the 1 to 3, third chord. The third chord of C is E minor, but they changed it to E7 because we're going to A minor probably. Flat 9, bar 20. And then there's the A, third of A, the flat third of A. Now, a couple things to point out here that are really cool. On bar 20 on the E7, of course, he starts on the G sharp, the third, and he plays a flat 9. But then jumps up to the B, the fifth, and then plays natural 9. You would never think of that. If you play flat 9 in the first part of your lick, you'd play it again on, you know, but he plays natural 9. Bar 21, A minor, by root of the flat third. Now, so now the A minor has become the 2. So, I'm sorry, A minor has become the 4. So that's naturally going to bring us to the 5th, which is B7, which would be the 5. So clearly we're headed to E7 or E minor, which is where we do go. So A, bar 21 is A, and then bar 22 is B7. Notice how he walks us right down into the D sharp. And there's a beautiful flat 9 arpeggio. That's the flat 9 right there. It just appears once. That's so cool. And I'm lost. Okay, so here we're going to an E minor, 9. Starting on the G. Again, the third. Always the third. Most 90% of the time he's targeting the third. And there's a beautiful line here on the bar 23. This line. So anyway, before I go any further, all of these 4-5-1s can be used in place of 2-5-1. So for example, bar 21 is an A minor. And then bar 22 is a B7. So that's 4-5. Resolving to the 1, the E minor. then another fourth, A7. But you could also play that over a 2-5-1 in E minor. So the 2 would be F sharp minor 7 flat 5. The 5 is still B7. And then the 1 is E minor. So over a F sharp minor 7 flat 5, you could play this A minor line. And then over the B7, and on the 1, and then we go to the A7. We're still moving in fourths. He's continuing this cool arpeggio. Now it's natural 9. That's the only difference. Now the A is a natural, a B instead of B flat. And we're going to a D7. Now here it kind of becomes an F sharp minus D7 and F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Very similar. So you could say this is all D7. And then he goes to B7. He loves to do that down 3 frets move. But you could kind of think of maybe it's an F sharp minor 7 flat 5 in there as well. But they're very similar. So from the D, bar 25. See, right here, it feels more like a F sharp minor 7 flat 5 because he's accentuating the E. And that D sharp shows we're on B7. And he goes up the melodic minor natural 9 scale. And he's done this throughout the entire song. Target the third by way of going 3, 4, 2, 3, or we did it on 1 string. And then on the, now we're on bar 27, we go down to the E minor 7 arpeggio into the scale A. Obviously we're on the root. Sometimes he likes to hit the root just to sort of ground it. Root 5 and then the scale. Here's A Aeolian, natural minor, bar 28. Now this is a cool move here, kind of signifying we get an ending coming up because he goes to flat 6 of A minor, which is F major, and does a cool arpeggio. And now here, B7, it's a tritone. You don't think of Bach playing tritones movements a lot, but at first I thought, okay, that's just F7 because we're going down to the, E flat, right? But no, that's a B7 with the melodic minor. Natural 9. It's like B Phrygian dominant, but with the natural 9. And then E minor. Pretty cool. Bar 31. Kind of implies B7, a little bit. And a really cool ending. Switches the E to E major, or E7. Now an A minor, and then back to E major. And E major 7 works so beautifully, you wouldn't think of that. You'd be thinking, oh, I'm playing all these dominants in E minor and E7. Why would I play E major 7? It doesn't seem, and it fits so perfectly. Every single note choice is like the perfect choice. There's a lot of bebop lines. There's a lot of movement in here that's very similar to jazz, movement in fourths. See, here I think I was doing a lot of And any questions, let me know. Or next time we'll be back maybe with some more Bach. I actually don't know any more Bach pieces that I have ready to go. So probably have to move on to some other stuff. But anyway, cool. We'll catch you all next time.